Hey, hello everyone. I'm actually gonna switch to my backyard. Just give me a sec to walk back to my backyard. It is so. Oh, my door's locked. I will open the door. It is so beautiful outside here. I am very, very, very blessed to be outside when it's so beautiful. Oh, the cat got outside. Look, here's our cat. He's right here. Here's our cat. He needs to come back inside. Just switching to the backyard because there's people talking in our front yard, and that's a little awkward for this. Okay, here we are. All right. So, it is time that it is the end of the virtue year. So, that means that we have been through 13 whole seasons of practicing different virtues each season. And I know that for me, it has been amazing. Like the growth I've experienced in the last 13 seasons since this time last year has been incredible. And I'm excited to tell you all about it. While I talk about it in the chat, please you can reflect on your own journey, and in the chat, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear how you've grown during the last year. So if you think back to the last year, what are all the ways you've grown? Put that in the chat. For me, okay, well, let me explain how I've grown. So a little more than a year ago, I was being really thoughtful about how I could best help people. A friend of mine asked me what 13 seasons actually is. Like, she said, hey, so like if you're doing 13 seasons, what are you actually doing? Like, and if she asked me, like, she said, if you are, coaching someone through 13 seasons, what does that actually look like? What's the concrete thing that makes it different? And I didn't know how to answer her, because when I've coached people, I just would, each time I met with someone, I would just do whatever it felt to do. I would connect with the person, connect with their spirit, connect with the spirits of everyone, the whole planet, and just feel it out, like feel what would best help them. And so it looked different every time. So there wasn't like, I didn't have like a concrete answer for what does this look like. So I prayed and I asked what this looks like. What does a 13 season approach look like? And I had a really, really special experience where I was led through this process by myself that involved muscle testing and inspiration and just some really profound experiences that resulted in me having written down a plan for myself of what I would do each month over the course of the year. And then I felt like it would result in me being like a really cool place by the end of that. And I've been following it to the T. So every month I've been over a year ago, I got a plan of what to do each month. For over a month, I've been doing those things. And now, like this week, I got to the end of it. I did the whole thing for a year, following things I felt to do a year ago, each month doing the things. And I had some, at the end of it all, I've had some really, really, really profound experiences. And thank you all for your wows and your nices. I appreciate it. I appreciate you celebrating with me. Feel free to put in the chat how you've grown over the last year so we can celebrate with you. Think over the last year. How have you grown? But yeah, this is like a really special time in my life because I'm at the end of that year-long process of following that counsel that I received sort of, I guess, from my higher self. I want to talk about some of the ways I've grown. I feel much more selfless. I feel like I do the things I do just to help people. And I honestly, like a year ago, it was much more common for me to see people sort of as like, oh, what can they do for me? And now it's much more easy for me to be like, oh, that person needs help, I'll help them for them. Also, I find myself just being more satisfied with what I'm doing. Like, honestly, a year ago, I felt like most of my work felt like this big chore. Like when I had to go do any kind of work, I'm like, oh, I gotta go do this thing, and I felt kind of trapped in my work. I don't feel that anymore. Like I really see most of the time, I see what I do for work as really satisfying. I'm just really glad to do it. That's a great way to live. Also, another thing I've learned about over this year is I've learned about auras. And let me talk to you about what I've learned about auras. So, all of us have like invisible light that comes from our bodies and emanates from our bodies. Um, and this has been something that humans have been aware of for a long time. Like, for a long, long time, I don't know when it all started. Many different cultures talk about auras, right? Um, and they might describe them as like a halo, like some light around your head or something, or they'll describe them as like light that some people can see it, some people can't, like light that comes from people's bodies, and it like has different colors to it. From a scientific perspective, there is absolutely electromagnetic energy that comes from our bodies. Period. Like that is absolutely true. The electromagnetic fields are fields of energy that are around anything that's electrical. So like when you like the electric current that supplies power to like the to your house around those anywhere where electricity is moving, there's an electromagnetic field in that place. Now, our hearts have electricity. Of course they do, right? Because when you go to the hospital, there's that little machine that goes beep 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 beep. There's that little machine, right? That machine is measuring the electricity of your heart. And so, of course, your heart has electricity. Otherwise, that machine couldn't measure anything. And so, of course, if we have electricity in our hearts, we must have an electromagnetic field around our heart and around our body. And instruments can measure. There are instruments that can measure that electromagnetic field, and it can be measured, like up to like 3 or more feet away from your body. That the electromagnetic field can be measured with like scientific instruments. And so we see from that we have some kind of energy around our bodies. There's a lot more to learn about it, but I'm learning that some of that energy around our bodies are auras. And by the way, Jamie Wagner says, I think I may have gotten just a little more improved in a lot of things. That's great. It's better to grow just a little bit at a time than to try to grow in a big way and then stop for a while, then grow a big way again. Like just incremental growth a lot of times is better than like big bursts of growth that you can't keep up. And hi, Rain World Comics. So we have auras, and auras are like light around our bodies. Now, one of the things I've learned this year, I never really thought much about auras a year ago, is that our auras have color to them. And the color tells you things about your personality and your strengths and weaknesses. And so our auras are like layers, You know how like ogres and onions have layers? Well, auras do too. So your aura has like layers to it. And the layers are different colors. And the color that the aura is and the order it's in tells you about a person. So like the color that's closest to their body, if you can perceive it, that color of aura, that part's telling you about like their spirit. It's telling you about the personality and strengths, weaknesses of their spirit. The next layer tells you about their body. So the personality and strengths, weaknesses of their body. And the next layer is the balancing layer that balances the two, that helps the spirit and body to communicate with each other and have balance between each other. So the spirit and body works together instead of working against each other. Jamie Wagner, I think this is actually Will Wagner on Jamie Wagner's account, says, oh, well, today I did some stuff I'm actually proud of doing on Scratch. Good job. Like any kind of growth is awesome. And like Scratch growth is awesome. Very good job. So we have these auras, and then beyond your third aura, you have lots of other layers, like a lot of other layers that are just like, that represent various little strengths you have, like gifts you have that you can call on when you need them. But those first 3 auras are particularly important. Now, when I first learned about this, I learned about this about in the middle of this year. And at the time, I started learning how to examine my aura, and I discovered that my innermost aura is green, and the next layer out from that is magenta. And this made a lot of sense to me. At first, I was like a little like, I don't know about that. But then as I examined it more and started thinking about it more and like looking at it, and learning what those colors meant, I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And I like that Brandon says aura parfaits. Yum. That's so wonderful. That's such a good joke. Um, it's so good to like have humor with these kind of conversations. And I might talk a little more about that a little later today. But so our auras have these layers. Now, the green layer, that's my spirit layer that I had when I first learned about auras, is a layer that has to do um, with being like an innovator, with being someone who looks around them and sees the world and like sees it with like a calm head and sees problems like a calm head, and then is able to just say, oh, how do I improve that? It's like people who are constantly they're using like their brain space to constantly improve things. The neat thing is, the book that I learned about auras from talked about these different colors. But as I started looking at it with the help of a friend. We discovered even more colors than were in the book. We started just looking at auras, and we just got like direct insight and inspiration about other colors that exist beyond this one's. Sorry, I was gone for a second. I ended up making like a document with all the colors that were in the book I was learning from, but then other colors too, additional colors that we discovered. And one of the colors we discovered was like a crystal green. So it's similar to green, but it's like a level, kind of like a higher level of green, like on the next level. And crystal green's a little different than green. It has some different things going on it. And what we started learning is that there's like a crystal version of every color. So you have these like solid colors of aura, and then if you level up to the next level, there's crystal versions of each aura, and the crystal versions are sort of more spiritual in nature, which is helpful and challenging. The helpful things of a more spiritual layer is that you're more in tune with the spiritual world, which can lead to all sorts of chances for joy and awesomeness. The disadvantage, though, is that sometimes the spirit layers, those layers of aura that are spiritual in nature, have a harder time living in the world, because the world we live in, frankly, just the way our society is built, isn't really built for spiritual priorities. So if you have more spirit aura, it can be really hard to like live in this world. And but it doesn't mean you can't. It's just a challenge that you have to learn to compensate for. So, like I said, for a year, I've been following everything that my plan that I made for myself a year ago said. And all those things culminated in some really special experiences over the last 4 weeks. During the 13th season of all these 13 seasons, everything came together for me in a way that's really, really amazing and really, really special and really cool. And I'm really excited to tell you about it. So first of all, one thing that happened is that I felt to do various emotion processing activities in my body to work on the energy of my spirit in my body and make some shifts inside myself. And because of those shifts that I made, I became aware of like a throne inside my body. So like it's symbolic. It's not like there's not like a real chair inside my body. But it's symbolic. I became aware symbolically through my meditation of like a throne inside my body. It's a symbolic image. And I was aware that Jesus wanted to visit me. And I thought Jesus wanted to sit in the throne. I thought, oh yeah, that's what he wants to do. But Jesus came and visited me, and he didn't want to sit in the throne. He wanted to teach me to sit on the throne. That's really special. Jesus didn't want to come and like take over my life. Jesus wanted to come and teach me to be the master of my life. And so Jesus taught me how to sit on this throne inside myself, like that, sort of symbolically. And that was really special. And then after I had that meditation experience, my aura changed. My centermost aura, my spirit aura, changed color. It changed from green to crystal green. And I've had a very interesting level up from that. Immediately after that happened, I went on a walk. And as I walked, I just felt infinite love for everything. Like I felt truly that this new aura of mine leads to me being no respecter of persons. That I can just look at anything and love it. And it's still the crystal green is similar to the green. Like the green wants to innovate everything with the mind, wants to use the mind to like improve and fix everything. But the crystal green is able to perceive everything in its infinite, get everything with infinite love. And then when the crystal green does that, whatever it's looking at is chooses to improve itself because of the love that it feels. And that's really cool to experience the upgrade. Now, every kind of aura has strengths and weaknesses. One of the weaknesses of the crystal green is that because it just loves everything so much, it can sometimes trust beings who maybe shouldn't be trusted. And so one of the tricks with that is, if you have this kind of aura, is learning how to have good boundaries and like how to like discern who to trust and who not to trust. Oh, hi. Hello, Gojo and Fortnite Edits. I appreciate seeing you here. It's been a little while. I know you asked for another video, and here I am. So any kind of aura color you have has strengths and weaknesses, and it's good to know what both those are and work with them. So like, I have this new aura, and I know its strengths. I know some of its strengths, some of its weaknesses. I have more to learn, but it's neat that like I did this work for like over a year of just like really concerted effort to follow this plan. And because I did that for over a year, I've like experienced a change, and it's neat. I'm so grateful. But then after experiencing that change, some more things started happening. I had some really, really special experiences. A few days passed after that. I just kind of got used to this new aura, and I'm still getting used to it. I feel like it's going to take about a month for me to like fully integrate it, like for the rest of my body, like accept this change and like fully be good. And as I'm integrating it though, I'm having some new interesting experiences. And on Friday, my wife and I just felt so big and so exciting. My wife and I spent a lot of time, we kind of dedicated our day pretty much to spiritual activities. We went to, we spent the morning, we drove like an hour and a half to where there's like a religious temple that we went to. And we spent some time there together, and we spent some time in the car and while we're driving and while sitting in the car together, just like talking about where we're trying to go and like praying together and trying to understand what it is we want for ourselves. And my wife got some really clear direction about what she wants to pursue and like what she feels called to do as far as like a career. And she knows what to do, and she's pursuing it. Ring. Sorry guys, my phone is ringing. I'm trying to decline it. There we go. And that was really neat. And then I got some clear direction too. I got very, very clear direction about how it would be good for me to go get more education. That it's time for me to go pursue a PhD in agriculture, which is not something I really like would have seen myself doing that long ago. But I feel like with this 13 seasons work that I'm trying to do, that the next step, I need to understand agriculture better in order to take the work to its next step, which makes sense to me because we're talking about 13 seasons. It's 13 seasons of the year the earth goes through. And so I feel like to really understand like how these seasons work, I need to be out in nature with plants and things more, seeing how they act during each season and really studying that and understanding that better. And I feel like if we take this work of 13 seasons and the work of farming and culture and put them together, it's going to lead to something really special. It'll be really a blessing for a lot of people. And so that's what I'm doing. Now I started putting together a plan for the next year, for the year up ahead of like I've been praying and like receiving instructions about what to do during each season for the next year. This time I'm going to do it a little different though. Rather than, actually I'm not going to do it for each season. Not up front. So rather than receive all 13 seasons at the beginning, I'm going to do it one season at a time. So as we move into each season, I'm going to receive the things to do during that season when we're going into that season. I'm going to give that a shot and see how that feels. So I've received what to do this first season, and it's interesting. During this first season, I'm going to be doing lots of emotion processing, lots of activities where I just sit and process my emotions around farming. apparently, um, apparently, I have some blocks in me around the idea of farming and gardening, which makes sense to me because our family has started several big garden projects. We've done that, like, I think like twice now. We've done like gotten like really big garden projects built and then ended up moving. And I honestly, after like spending all the time and money to build those garden projects and then move right after we kind of got them going, has me kind of burnt. I feel burnt out inside me with the idea of gardening and farming and things. So I think the first thing I need to do is process my feelings about that, and that's what I'm going to spend this first season doing, and then we'll see where it takes me from there. It's interesting how these things go. I was going to, like, my first instinct was, oh, I know it's important for me to get this PhD. I got to figure out which program to do. But as I started trying to explore that, it just didn't seem to go anywhere. And so instead, I'm not going to worry about which program to do yet. I'm going to start by processing all the emotions that are in the way. And then, we'll see how it all just kind of comes together, which will be cool. That'll be awesome. And thank you, Brandon. Thank you for your excitement. So that's where my year of virtue has taken me. It's taken my life in a very different direction than expected to go. And there's still quite the adventure ahead. That we'll see how it all goes. But we're just gonna keep living virtue in its season, one bit at a time, and see where it takes us. Does anyone else have anything they want to share in the chat about how you've grown over the last year, so we can celebrate with you? If anyone thinks of anything, please add it to the chat as we keep going. So, I hope y'all are. I know I pace a lot when I do these. Hey, good job making a channel, man. That's great. I'm glad you're able to make a channel this year. That's a big deal. I wish your channel tons of success. That's really great. As we move forward into this next year, I'm going to talk about like some things to think about as we move into the next virtue year. As I talk, I know you have been pacing a lot. I know. I hope that doesn't bother anyone to see the background just kind of pace back and forth. My brain flow. One thing I've learned about myself is my brain flows really well as I pace. One of my friends was telling me actually, one of my friends actually told me that I believe he was talking about Plato, that when Plato wanted to figure out a problem, like a philosophical problem, he and his students would go on a walk. And as they walked, they would talk through it and then figure it out. And I feel like that's kind of like me. I feel like that as my legs are moving, my system processes things and discovers things. So it works really well for me actually to use this format and like kind of pace back and forth while it's sort of meditative for me while I receive what to say here. So, what I want to say about the next virtue year. I want to say this. So the next virtue year, as always, as every year, is divided into 13 parts. And during each of the parts, it's good to focus on different things. You'll grow stronger if you focus on different things. And those 13 parts are the 13 parts to successfully create anything. Whether you're trying to create a YouTube channel that's successful, or trying to create a successful relationship with someone, or trying to create a career for yourself, or trying to create some kind of change in your life, whether you're trying to write a book, whatever you're trying to create, these 13 principles are the principles that can create anything. the beings who created the planet we live on use these 13 principles to create this planet. Use them to create anything. So, Melissa says, I've been learning reflexology, which is something I didn't see myself doing. So I get what you mean about learning about things leading you to somewhere and you didn't see yourself, but it being really good. Yes. Yes. It's such a fun way to live life because it has lots of surprises. So when it comes to creating things, you have these 13 principles. The first of the 13, though, is fulfill Yearnity. And so fulfill Yearnity means, like, let's talk about the word Yearnity. So Yearnity is like yearning for unity. And one way to think of unity is when you're in this state where your desires and what you do like is unified with everyone and everything else. And so you're like in this state where instead of just like you're not like like that unity that you have that unity with the angels and with God and with other people, and it enables you to move forward without obstacles. Because when you want something, but the thing you want is at odds with like what your own spirit or your higher self or God or angels or other people, want for you, when you're at odds with the energy of when like other people's energy or whatever is like going against what you want, then you can't quite make it. You can't quite, it doesn't fit, and you keep trying, but it doesn't stick, and you feel frustrated. But when you discover your yearnity, when you're yearning for that state of unity, then things just there's challenges still. There's definitely challenges, and the challenges help you grow, and that's good. The challenges actually help you. The challenges that help bring your yearnity about, because the challenges are like the things that are like the weights you lift that makes you strong enough for your yearnity. But there's challenges still, but you're not like hitting so many roadblocks. You're just kind of going from thing to thing to thing, not always sure where you're headed, but headed right towards where you're trying to go. The Hindus call this concept dharma, Dharma, and your dharma is like your unique path that leads to like your unity with God, and your unity with everything. And so they talk about how like you want to find your dharma path and stay on it, and if you get off your dharma path, karma starts showing up to kind of sabotage you to help you get back on your dharma path. So that's how karma and dharma work together. Brandon says, I started out last year with specific things I wanted to accomplish and lots of small steps along the way. Even though I didn't do everything, it is amazing to me how it led to be a big change in me. The change just came recently and I'm still seeing it play out, but I'm excited to take this next season to see what happens. That's great, Brandon. Congratulations. Gojo in Fortnite Edit says, all I make is Fortnite and edits. So, okay, if you don't mind, like, you can't really tell me if you don't mind or not, but like, let's use this YouTube channel as an example. Because I think sometimes when we talk about unity or dharma, it could be, we might make it heavier than it needs to be, right? We might think, oh, I'm supposed to be doing some like deep, important, like really big thing that just obviously makes other people's lives better in this like really profound way, and it can't be too fun, because if it's fun, then it's not spiritual or something like that. No, this can totally be fun. In fact, and we're live again. I have a friend who I just talked with about a lot of these principles like about a week or two ago. And he shared some really cool ideas with me that I want to share with you about that have to do with fulfilling Yearnity. There's two concepts he shared with me, and they'll relate back to having a YouTube channel and doing Fortlights and edits. The first principle is he said that it's really, really good to, well, he said that well, let me just say it this way. I'll just tell the story he told. He said that he's an actor, and he's a professional actor. And it has not always been easy for him. There's been times where his career flourishes and he gets lots and lots of acting gigs. There's been times where he's really struggling. And during one of the times he was struggling, he didn't have much money, but then things clicked. And all of a sudden he started getting really good gigs and bringing in lots of money. And he was so excited about all the money that he started bringing in, and he was praying, and he's a really spiritual guy, but his spirituality is interesting. He's very spiritual in like a funny way. Like to him, he knows that he feels spiritual when he feels like fun and laughter. Um, and that's something he's learned that he's like really big on. But he was praying about like all this money he was gonna get, and he was praying to God, and he felt like God talking back to him. And he has such a personal relationship with God, like just his buddy to him. Like that's the way he thinks of God. And he was talking to God, and he was like, "Hey," God said to him, "Hey, Sharon." His name's Sharon. He said, "Hey, Sharon, you're gonna make a bunch of money soon. What are you gonna do with it?" And he was like, well, and he kind of felt like he's supposed to say a certain thing. So he's like, I guess I'll like give it to the church. And God was like, "Hey, I mean that's nice and all, but what are you gonna do with it?" And he's like, "Well, maybe I'll like give a bunch to the poor." And God's like, "Hey, I love you helping the poor, but like, what do you want to do with it?" And he's like, "Well, I kind of like would like to have a projector. I thought it'd be really cool to own a projector." And then he felt God say to him, "That would be so fun. You should totally do that. It's going to be so fun for you to have fun with your projector." Now, I really believe God wants us to use money to help the poor. And I believe helping the poor can be actually really, really fun. But I think the lesson that God was trying to teach my friend is that that's not like the only way. Like helping, it's not like helping the poor is the only way to use money in a good way. And any things that bring you joy are important to prioritize. Um, and and so he just really felt empowered by that. So that's one thing, is that like just because something's fun and maybe seems frivolous doesn't mean it's not important, even from a spiritual standpoint. So that's like first thing that I think is really important to keep in mind. So if your Yearnity, your Dharma path, leads you to something that seems kind of frivolous, that's fine. It's totally fine. I had an experience where when I was a film school student, where I was really stressed out. I wasn't getting enough sleep. I was super tired. I was working so hard trying to do good at all my classes. I also was working to pay the bills. Like I worked 20 hours a week on top of that, like a job. And I was just really exhausted by it all. And I went to one of my film classes, and we watched an old, like silent Harold Lloyd film, which is just like silent, like a comedic, kind of like Charlie Chaplin, like just a comedic film. And it was very, very, very funny. And I laughed so much. And when I got done with that, I felt like my spirits were lightened. I was so glad that I could just laugh. And it really like helped me reapproach life in a better way. So like things that make people laugh, things that entertain people are like really important. It lightens people's load. So, if you're doing like Fortnite stuff and edits and things like that, like if that helps other people like lighten their load and like enjoy and laugh more in life and have a good time, that can be like a really important service to give people. And if you think of it that way, I think it opens up more doors. If nothing else, if you think of it that way, if you think about the service you're giving people when you're doing something like make a YouTube channel, if nothing else, you start giving people things that help them instead of just doing whatever. And when you give people things that help them, they appreciate it and they show up for you more. And frankly, the whole YouTube algorithm is designed. It might not always do this perfectly, but the people who created it say that it's designed to help. The algorithm isn't designed to help people that make videos. It's designed to help people that watch videos. So if you have the attitude of, I'm going to make videos that are going to help people laugh and have a good time and enjoy themselves, and I want to do that service for people, frankly, the algorithm might serve you a little better. Yeah, keep sharing that thought about the time you got roasted. I want to hear more about that. But I'm going to finish this thought, and then I'm going to come back to that. So tell us everything that happened with that. So that's one thing. Now I had another experience with Sharon that has been hugely impactful on my wife and I, because we were talking to him together, and he said that something that's helped him figure out. He didn't use the word Yearnity. He just used the word like helped him discover what's best for him, help him discover like what he feels called to. Is he said, I figured out the unique way that God talks to me, and then I make sure that I do work that feels like that. And he said, when he knows the way that God talks uniquely to him and he spends his time doing the work that feels like that, his work thrives. And he said, for him, God talks to him through humor and fun and laughter. Like for him, spiritual experiences often involve like laughter and kind of like they're just silliness. That's the way he experiences God. I kind of like, I'm a little tempted actually to maybe make to like, because for me, it's that way a little bit too, but it's a little different than with him. But for me, I definitely have had many spiritual experiences where things happen that are funny and silly, and it helps me connect with the spiritual experience. And so I relate to that. I also, for me, spiritual experiences, often my experience with God, when I feel close to God, it involves this sense of feeling deeply. It involves feeling deeply like when I feel close to God, it feels like fun. But the fun it often is connected to like exploring ideas. Like I find it fun to explore ideas with God. Like I'll have a spiritual experience by meditating, and it's like I can like see the universe, and God and I go explore it together, and I learn all these things about how the universe works, like on like a spiritual and scientific level, and it's like super fun, and I like laugh and have a good time, and it like fills my spirit with like joy because it's exciting to like learn this stuff. And so like I'm thinking a lot right now is like, okay, how does like that's how God talks to me. So, how do I create a career like that? And I have a feeling that whatever this agriculture thing I'm going to do is, it'll feel like that. It'll be exploring and learning in a way that feels delightful and fun. So something I would just say is like, and it's happened with my wife too. My wife, when she was really struck by that, and she was like, I don't know how God talks to me. I'm not really sure. I've never really thought this through very well. And so she spent some time. She's been like intentionally trying to figure that out. Like her and I put a plan together, like the same kind of plan that I'm talking about that I put together a year ago. Her and I put one together for her that was like a plan, like with the steps to do for her to discover how God talks to her, and her to like take out all of the bias from like what people have told her over her life, because she needs to find out what's unique, the unique way God speaks to her, not the way God speaks to anyone else. So she's trying to like cut out from her belief system everything anyone's told her about how God's supposed to speak to her, and just find out how God speaks to her uniquely. And then from there, see like, okay, what career could I do that's related to that? And it's gone really well for her. And she has learned how God speaks to her. It's really, and that's a personal thing. I want her to share it, not me. But once she learned how God speaks to her, then what career to do became really obvious. And so I think that as we discover, because the way God speaks to you, he's not speaking to you that way because of him. God's speaking to you that way because of you. God knows you, and God knows what connects with you. So if you discover the unique way God speaks to you, and then you find ways to take your career and the kind of service you give and the way you have relationships with others, if you make those things look like the way God speaks, in your Yearnity as your unique self, that's a powerful exercise. So a great way to fulfill Yearnity is ask the question first, how does God speak to me? Find that out, and that will make your Yearnity path much more clear to you if you make your Yearnity path look and feel like the way God speaks to you. Okay. So yeah, Gojo in Fortnite edits talks about how he got roasted on YouTube once because of an edit, and he said, why? Getting roasted sucks. All right, like when we get roasted on, and we get roasted in so many ways, right? Like getting roasted is shame. So like when it comes to emotions, the darkest, most like low frequency emotion there is despair. Despair is the like bottom of the emotional spectrum, and when you're in despair, it's awful because there's no hope. To have despair is to think that there is no solution, and if there is no solution, then it just feels so terrible. Like despair is depression because there just feels like there's no way out. Despair is the worst, the hardest thing to experience, and it's important for us to experience despair. Like despair is important. It's an important, can be an important part of our growth to experience despair. But spending a lot of time in despair is really, really hard, and it kills us, right? Like our bodies need life, and life comes from energy, and the emotion of despair doesn't have enough energy to keep us alive. So if we're in continual despair for too long, it causes us to age and die faster. It's not good. Another the next emotion up from despair, it's slightly more energy, is shame. Shame's just a little bit better than despair, but it's not much better. When we're feeling shame, I mean, at least shame motivates us to do something. Despair motivates us to do nothing at all. But at least shame moves us to try to do something to make the shame go away. You know, like if I feel, if someone shames me, I'll try to like do something to change something so that they won't shame me anymore. So at least shame motivates us to do something. That's why it's a step up from despair. But shame isn't much better than despair, because shame tells you, with shame is the message, you are inherently flawed and you're not good enough. And if you feel inherently flawed and not good enough for long enough, that doesn't have enough energy to keep you alive, because you're like, I'm flawed, I'm not good enough, why am I here? And so shame can turn into despair real fast. Because if you feel shame, but you feel like there's nothing you can do to make the situation better, then you just fall into despair. So shame and despair are like really, really important to experience. They're an important part of life, but it's important to like learn all you can from having had those experiences. But if you spend too much time in shame and despair, it kills you. It's bad. It's real bad that way. And so when you get roasted on YouTube, like when someone in the comment section says something and you just feel like they say something that makes you feel like you just did a bad job, that's shame. That's what you're feeling. You're feeling shame. You're feeling this feeling of like, oh man, am I not good enough? And it's awful. And if now from shame, there's a few emotions you can go to. One emotion you go to from shame is despair. You say, am I not good enough? I don't think I am. I think I just can never do this. I'm never going to succeed at this. I can't be a YouTuber. That's despair. The other place you can go from shame, which is actually better, is anger. So when you have despair, sometimes, you have shame, sometimes you go to like, instead of saying, oh, I must suck, you say, no, they must suck. and you get mad at them. And it's actually, in some ways, it's better to go to anger than despair, because anger actually has higher energy. Anger moves you to do something and get something done. It usually moves you to do something that's going to hurt someone else, but at least you're doing something. The tricky thing about anger, though, is anger is really destructive. And so if you spend a lot of time in anger, you're spending your time in the energy of destruction. And so you're going to end up, if you spend all your time in that place, you're going to hurt someone else or hurt yourself. So I'd usually rather people go to anger than despair. Like anger is at least anger anger can keep you alive longer. But if we really want to prosper, even anger isn't going to get us there because it's destructive. A better place to go to, even better than anger, is vulnerability, which is also called courage. Courage and vulnerability are the same thing, by the way. That's something I've learned. Courage is doing something even though it might hurt you. And vulnerability is doing something even though it might hurt you. They're the same thing. Exact same thing. And so when you get courage or vulnerability, when you go to that space, that's a way to respond to being roasted or being shamed in a way that I find much more can sustain your life for longer. When you're in a place of vulnerability or courage, you say this. You say, man, I made something and then someone shamed me after I made it. Or I tried this thing and someone shamed me when I did it. I'm going to do it again anyway. And I might get shamed and I might get attacked again for it. And that's okay. I'm okay with that possibility because I really want to do this. It involves certain kind of acceptance. And it's just it involves just being okay with being hurt because you really want to do what you want to do. You just accept that someone might hurt you. And if we want to fulfill Yearnity, if once you identify what your Yearnity is, if you want to go after it, you got to have enough, you got to have courage. You got to say, hey, going after this Yearnity might result in getting hurt along the way, and I'm okay with that. Oh, I guess you didn't get roasted. Sure, I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I think I may have misunderstood you, Gojo and Fortnite edits, but I'm glad that I feel like if I did still said some valuable things, that'd be helpful to some people. And some ideas came together for me. I never quite put some of those ideas together quite that way until just now. So I'm grateful that we could talk down this path. I think that's all I got on me today. If there's anything else, any other question I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna stay on for just a little bit. If anyone has any other questions or something you'd like me to address, please put it in the chat now. While I'm waiting for that, I'm gonna let us just enjoy some moments of. I'm outside in perfect weather. Perfect weather. So I'm very happy to just sort of like pace here and just enjoy this world and be no respecter of persons and just love everything around me. So I'm gonna just enjoy that for a little bit. Oh, thank you for clarifying that, Melissa. You made another video and didn't get roasted. I get it now. Misunderstood. I'm glad. And I'm glad you made another video. I'm glad you didn't let the one negative experience keep you from keep doing what you wanted to do. And that it went better. It's so beautiful here. You're right, Brandon. This is just like perfect weather. Like, look at this. Like, it's so pretty, and the temperature is absolutely perfect. There's this very, very gentle breeze, and it's not too hot and not too cold. It is the perfect weather. I'm so grateful I'm outside right now. So yeah. So if anyone else has any questions you want to add or comments, please put them in the chat now. And I'm gonna wait a second, just enjoy the stillness. Sometimes we're always go, 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 go. We feel like we need dopamine constantly. This is beautiful to just be still, just pay attention to our environment, let our physical senses root us in the present moment, and just be. So Gojo in Fortnite edits asks, I have a question for you. What should I make? I was thinking of a guinea pig edit. I would say this. Just say to yourself, if I make a guinea pig edit, like, does that light you up? Does making that fill you with joy? Does it sound exciting to you? And if it is, do it. I really think that deep down inside of ourselves, we know the things that's going to be good is the things that light us up inside. And if we just run from thing to thing that lights us up, like those things might not get all the results that we hoped they would, but we'll live a good life and everything will just work out. Just identify the things that light you up and do those things and just keep doing them. Dopamine's pretty great. Well, I agree. Dopamine feels good. Yeah, it does. There's a little tiny bug on my screen. I just blew it off. Brandon says, one thing I realized recently is that fear is always a part of our life. Instead of letting it stop us from acting, we can focus on the possibility of the great things that come if we overcome fear. I agree. And a lot of times fear in our modern world, fear and practicality become the same thing. So there's this we grow up being told there's certain practical things we're supposed to do, and a lot of times we don't there might be something that actually fulfills our yearnity that's not that, but we don't feel like we can even entertain the possibility because of fear that if we don't do what's practical, things won't go well. If you watch, like, if you just search for like any videos from Jim Carrey, like just search for like inspiring Jim Carrey videos. Jim Carrey is like a master of this principle. He's a very spiritual man who's been living this principle his whole life. Um, I've heard some people say that Jim Carrey's crazy. Like, they're like, he's such a crazy guy. When you hear, like, he's so crazy. I don't think he's crazy. I think he's actually enlightened, and enlightenment looks like craziness to people who aren't enlightened. Um, Jim Carrey uh, only makes spiritual movies now. Like, I mean, I don't know if Ace Ventura is particularly spiritual. Maybe it is. I have to think about it. But like, once he found success, he only does movies that have like okay, he mostly only does movies that have some kind of like spiritual application, like Truman Show and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and other films that have like have these very spiritual things going on. If you look at them, even movies like The Mask and like Liar Liar, I think is that what that movie's called? The Lying movie have like a spiritual, like, tie into his spiritual convictions really well. I don't know if the Sonic movies particularly do or not. No, I heard a quote from him where he's asked why he does the Sonic movies, and he said because they pay me a lot of money and I could do fun things with money. So 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 maybe not those ones so much. But in general, he's really like, he does the projects that help him explore the spiritual topics that are important to him. And he has this really cool story. And again, if you search for inspiring Jim Carrey quotes or whatever, you'll hear this story a lot of the videos with him. He shares the story over and over, where when he was young, his dad. Uh, yes, Melissa, Sonic is fun, and that is part of spirituality. Exactly. Um, so thank you for reiterating my point and helping me not accidentally sabotage the very point I was making. Um, so um, Jim Carrey has this thing where he grew up watching his dad, and his dad is a man he loves dearly. He really respects his dad a lot, and but his dad could have been a comedian. His dad like had all the skills of a comedian. His dad chose to be an accountant because it seemed like the safe route. And fear leads you to the safe route. That's what fear does. That's actually the job of fear. The job of fear is to help you go in the safe route, and sometimes that's helpful. um, but um, but his dad went on the safe route to be an accountant. But then when Jim Carrey was old enough to know what was going on, I don't know what age exactly, but sometime in his adolescence, during that time when he would drive home from jobs, he would um, he would just visualize himself as he drove home, like being like being successful. He'd like visualize like the clothes he'd wear and like how he would talk to people and the kind of conversations he would have with directors and producers when he was a successful actor. And he would just like daydream sort of about this life he was going to live and like visualize all the concrete parts of it as he drove home every day. And he'd just be in the car. Knowing Jim Carrey, he probably like talked out loud because that's kind of the kind of guy he is. He just like drove home talking to himself about the life he's going to have. And he did that for 2 or 3 years. And then all of a sudden he started getting his big acting jobs. And by the time that his check fell apart, it was the date he dated it as, and he was making that much money as an actor. So I just think that Jim Carrey is a really cool example of this. And now he talks about how he has like so much money that he doesn't have to work if he doesn't want to. Like, you know, he could be okay not working because he's just accumulated so much money over his life. And he just does the things that, but he says that it hasn't automatically made him happy. Like he's struggled with depression and things like that. And he's had to like figure out like what really makes people happy and and it's all that comes down to spirituality for him. And it comes down to like understanding what makes people tick and why they do what they do. And he sees acting as a metaphor for everything. Like he sees all people going to him, like everyone is going around like acting a part that they've been conditioned to play. And he's really fascinated by that. And he tries, when he sees everyone that way, then tries to figure out like what to do with that and what that means. And and what that, and he and try to heal that. And he spends a lot of his time like taking interviews and doing inspirational speaking and stuff like that to share the principles he's learned with people. So yeah, if you search for inspirational Jim Carrey on YouTube, you'll find a whole bunch of videos that are just edits of him saying inspirational things. And I recommend playing it. Like the other day, I played one of these videos. It was 20 minutes long, and I played it while I got ready. And then I left the house to go to walk to work, and I was just like so happy. I was walking to work, and I was just like the happiest guy in the world, and everything I saw just filled me with joy. I really feel like just it kind of like led up. I think it kind of helped and led up to experience the change I've experienced as my aura has shifted. So yeah, that's so the point of all this is that fear is great. Like fear is there to help us stay safe. And you know, if you notice like a panther stalking you or something, or like a bear stalking you, and you get afraid, that's great. Like use that fear to help you do the safe thing, and get through that situation. On the other hand, if you spend your life constantly doing whatever fear tells you to do, and is getting in the way of doing the thing that really fulfills your yearnity, then I recommend taking a risk. And I recommend leaning into love, and lean into the love for everything. Like not just like love for people, but not just love for other people, but love for other people, love for yourself, love for the earth, love for everything that surrounds you, and love for doing what you love, of doing what you do with your time. Like lean into that kind of love, and see where that takes you. The love of life, the love of being alive. See where that takes you. And I believe that'll get you to your yearnity. Okay, I think we're good now. Yeah, I don't think we need to do anything else today. Thank you all for being on here. Thank you for your prompts and your questions. I feel the best energy behind these live streams when you guys are commenting, and I can like build off of what you're saying. That's when like things seem to go the best with these. So thank you for that. And enjoy your best self one season at a time, and have a happy journey. I'll see you on another live stream 4 weeks from now. And now I need to make this stop, and I don't know how. Mm-hmm. Hey everyone, I'm still here just because I can't stop the thing. You're welcome, Andrew Spencer. Here's how you stop it. The X button in the corner. Does that mean that I'll be an X-Man if I push it? If I push this button, either this video is going to stop, or I'm going to turn into an X-Man before your eyes. Let's see which happens.